What's going on, everybody? My name is GunnSP2024 and welcome back to another cosplay video. Now, before anything, I want to issue a few things. Firstly, I am not in my normal room. This is my new room. I moved. I don't know if you guys probably noticed from my videos on my Rogue the Hedgehog channel, but it's a long story. I will explain it in the next video. Or you probably have already noticed it from a previous video, but other than that, I wanted to do an update video on my Spider-Man costume collection. And the reason being is because due to the fact that the new Spider-Man Brand New Day movie is basically in production and is in the works, I decided to work on yet another Spider-Man costume. And so here today, we are going to be going through all of my Spider-Man costumes and go through them from the very first all the way to my newest Spider-Man costume. But before we do anything, I want to remind you guys to please hit that subscribe button right now, because if this video gets to 50,000 likes, I will graciously go behind the scenes on me doing the Spider-Man Ascension trailer or fan film. I know a lot of people are already upset from me delaying the project. That's because I got to it developed in the Rogue the Hedgehog channel. I was too focused on getting that story settled in, and also don't mind what I'm wearing. It's just fabric that I cut off from my recent project. But anyway, let's start this show off with the very first Spider-Man costume that I had in my collection. This is going to be a collection of all my Spider-Man costumes, pre-made, store-bought, and homemade. So let's start with the very first one, being the 2002 to 2007 Spider-Man costume, based off of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man costume. So here is the costume. This is the entire costume itself with attached shoes. This was the first costume I ever had that actually incorporates puff paint for the front and back logo. As you see, it's very glossy. That's because I added puff paint onto it. And it was the first time I ever experimented with using shoe soles for the base of, well, the shoes, so that, you know, I can actually walk around with the suit on. This is actually the first Spider-Man costume I ever had since I was a kid, and it still fits me to this day, which I'm really glad it still does, because I truly love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. As a matter of fact, I was still happy at the fact that Sam Raimi had returned when Spider-Man No Way Home came out. So I was really glad to have that in my, well, as part of my collection, or the start of my collection. Now, skipping on over to my very first Spider-Man costume, my unfinished, as I now call the battle damaged adaptation of the Spider-Man suit. This is a version of the Spider-Man costume that I first attempted to make, but the only problem was that with this one I had no skill with sewing. As you could probably tell, the sewing line is very, very visible. So you can't really, I didn't really hide the sewing line too well. And on top of that, you may notice that there is no web lines on this, let alone a spider logo on the front or the back. And I know you guys are already noticing that there's no other sleeve. This is because this was a one in development that I chose not to finish, because I didn't have much experience with sewing and or making a Spider-Man costume altogether. So I just kept this aside, but until I made my other version of a Spider-Man costume. So I'm calling this one the battle damaged one, because after some time I decided to use it for a battle damaged costume, which I'm ultimately fine with. So there's the battle damaged Spider-Man suit, or as I like to call it, the 1.0 Spider-Man costume. Next is the, I believe it was this one? Yep, it was. Next up is the Spider-Man Far From Home red and black suit. This is the first Spider-Man costume I tried to fully puff paint. As you can tell, the back logo is purely with white puff paint, whereas the front is black puff paint. I also tried doing puff paint on the web lines, as you can probably see, because I strongly dejected against the idea of the thin dual web lines. And on top of that, I also tried adding puff paint to areas that would have made it pop out more, such as the black area here on the costume. But of course, I decided against it to continue working on it because of the fact that I started messing up on it. And of course, I had to reutilize the initial mask, try and modify it. I'm not going to show the masks because you probably already know what they look like from my past videos, from me showing my collection. But this is an update since I have a newer Spider-Man costume I just worked on. So, Spider-Man Far From Home as number 3. Number 4 would go to my first Spider-Man costume that I actually had with a U-shaped zipper, which is the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. This is the Spider-Man costume that I first had that incorporates not only a neck zipper for the back of the costume, but it also incorporates the U-shaped zipper for the costume. This is one that I actually truly liked to the fullest extent because this one actually made me feel like I was actually putting on a more, I would say, studio accurate Spider-Man costume. And of course, this one I did not incorporate puff paint because I did not have the right nozzle for any of my puff paints to modify this to being exact. So I just left this alone. But I did actually make my own lenses for the mask. So yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit, number 4. For number 5, that goes to my, crap, one of them fell. That goes to my version 1 black suit Spider-Man costume. Now you've probably seen me use this one already for a TikTok video. This is my personal adaptation of the black suit Spider-Man, incorporated and inspired by the design of the Spectacular Spider-Man, as well as the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, mainly because I used the red and blue suit logo for the back, and my own personal touch of the symbiote logo on the front. But it does incorporate the, I believe it was the Phase 1 symbiote web design. Yeah, it was the Phase 1 symbiote web design. I did mess up a little bit with the web lines on the base of the hand, but I just rolled with it. And of course, this is purely made out of 4-way stretch spandex. And as you know, I don't know if you guys will know, but the more we go down the line, the longer and more experience with different changes in material will my costumes be more inspired. So the version 1 red and blue suit was the first one I ever incorporated using 4-way stretch spandex, whereas this one's also 4-way stretch spandex, but primarily in black. So it's my first attempt at a black suit. Next on my list is, I do believe it's this one, yep it is, my version 2 red and blue suit. This one has a more messy look because I tried to make this as accurate to the Spider-Man the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man mixed with the Spectacular Spider-Man look, incorporating the back logo of the 2007 logo, as well as the front being the 2002 logo. Or I think, no, it was the, no, I think it was the 2000, no, it was 2000, this is the 2002 logo. But the red and blue pattern was my own personal uptake. I wanted to incorporate a unique look for the red and blue, and of course this is the 4-way stretch spandex. This was the first costume I ever tried doing, making a multiple part costume where the sweater portion, the leggings and the boots and the mask were all separate pieces, and of course it's all puff painted with silver, black, and of course red for the back logo. This was more of a matte red puff paint, so this is my version 2 red and blue suit. Moving right along, And I'm not going to be test fitting the costume because it'll be taking too long, except for one exception, which is going to be the last one for the video. I believe it's this one. Here's my 2007. I got later. Here's my 2007 black suit Spider-Man from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. But from the 2007 Spider-Man 3 Sam Raimi Spider-Man costume. I got this one off of I believe AliExpress. It looks really, really nice. I like how it looks almost exactly like the actual costume, or if you were to get one off of Sentai Zone. And this is the first costume I ever tried to incorporate seamless shoe soles. So I super glued some shoes onto the bottom of the costume, and so far it actually holds together quite well. And of course, with the mask, it actually has more of the screen accurate lenses, even if they are a little flimsy. But other than that, they hold together quite well. And much like the red and blue Sam Raimi Spider-Man costume that I first showed, this one has a singular zipper that goes all the way down to the costume, all the way down to the waistline. So there's that. Next on my list is my version 2 symbiote suit. This is a version of the symbiote suit that I personally like fully, because this is actually my first attempt at utilizing two different sources of fabric, which I don't know if you could probably tell, but the differences in fabric are very noticeable, especially texture-wise. The inner portion of the costume, like the underside of the forearms, as well as the back area and the hips all the way around to the front of the costume, is 4-way stretch spandex, whereas the base area of where the red would be if it was a red and blue suit is more of a polyester spandex textured fabric. And given the fact this was my first adaptation making the black suit with two different sources of fabric, I feel like I did a really good job. And this is the first one I made that actually has all the pieces in full design, I should say. I almost lost track of my train of thought, but this has all the parts of the costume, from the mask all the way to the boots, including the gloves. So this is the first one that's a piece-by-piece costume. And also the spider logo is actually purely designed with puff paint. So this one actually has more of a silver sort of logo instead of it being white. It's my own personal touch, but I think it looks really well. And the back logo is actually inspired by PSM's, or I think it's PMS or PSM, the idea of making the upper portion of the back logo reach up toward the neck, which was an inspiration taken by the amazing PMS, I believe his name is, on YouTube. So shout out to the amazing PMS. And yeah, a version 2 black suit. I think this one is actually the best version of the black suit I've ever made. So I'm not gonna make a third version for this. I'm keeping this. On top of that, I even made a Venom mask to go with this costume, so it looks really, really nice. So, version 2 symbiote suit. And then, finally, for the recent Spider-Man, or earliest adaptations of the Spider-Man costumes, here's my own uptake on a full Spider-Man costume, with inspirations taken from the Sam Raimi design, the Ultimate Spider-Man, the original comic book adaptation of Spider-Man, and certain designs taken by certain designs that were inspired by the Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man Homecoming. This is a full piece Spider-Man base piece that I made using 4-way stretch spandex, but with a slightly texturized red spandex. And I actually have the updated mask right over here to go with it. Give me 1 second. Here is the updated mask. This one is all for this costume, but I have made it really well to actually have this mask go with my version 2, red and blue suit, since the fabrics are nearly identical in some way. So even if this goes with this, it is notable to utilize this with the version 2 red and blue suit. So that is the full Spider-Man costume, made purely with, well, made as one whole costume. And you guys may have seen this before when I showed it off entirely. So there's that. My version 3 red and blue suit. And now for the one you guys have all been waiting for. You guys have probably seen me do, you guys probably might not know about it, but I've been working on a Spider-Man costume for 2 days. It is one that I feel would be truly inspired by my own take on the Spider-Man costume. And, well, I think it's really just safe to show you directly. So, I really tried this sort of transition before, but snap to costume mode. Oh, look at that. That actually looks like it worked. So here is the new, I would say version 4 Spider-Man costume. Yep. This is the version 4 Spider-Man costume. Now, a few notable things you may notice. The blue, very, very shiny. This is a velvet blue spandex that I'm using for the blue. And for the red, I don't know if you can really tell, it's a bullet texture red Liverpool fabric. This is almost the exact same one that the amazing PMS utilized when he made the Sam Raimi Spider-Man costume. Now I know what you guys are wondering, where's the mask? Currently drying. I had to redo the lenses because the lenses were a little messed up. I tried experimenting a little bit, but yeah. But anyway, here's a full 360 view. Let me actually, 1 second, let me shrink down so you guys know what the suit looks like. I have my phone on my tripod, so bear with me. So here's the full costume. I know the red stretches down a little bit longer than most Spider-Man costumes, but yeah. And also, made the boots using a simple pattern that I made myself. Now, one of the boots do ride down a little bit, but I'm not too bothered by it. The gloves are a little shorter than usual, as you could probably tell. I did that purposely because when I did them longer, they bunched up on the inside of the costume, or on the inside of the sleeves. But other than that, here's a full 360 of the costume. The back logo, I did more of a cartoony type of look for the Sam Raimi Spider-Man logo. The thin legs are purposeful, so that it's not like a recreation of the original costume. And I really do love how I did the costume, including the front logo, because I had to fix it because the bottom of the spider logo, I don't know if you can probably tell, but the bottom of the spider logo was a little crooked. So I added extra and utilized the initial leg from this side to work as the leg, to work as the siding for the butt portion of the spider logo. So that's pretty much good. So this is the full Spider-Man costume. And I do feel like this is more of an inspiration from the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, even when I'm looking at the mask. Let me show you real quick. Here is the mask. It's not finished because the black framing on the lenses are still drying, but as you can probably tell, this is what the lenses look like now. Look at that. I painted the inside of the plastic framing on the plastic lens piece on the inside black, because what I noticed is that a lot of people utilize perforated vinyl for that that reflective material look. What I utilize is that I use puff paint for the edges of the lens frame, and then I utilize plastic for the interior of the lenses, and painted the inside of it with black puff paint to make it black on the inside. And then I utilized clear fabric-y plastic on the inside so it covers up my eyes. Because initially, I don't know if you could probably tell with the other one, with these ones, it has just the plastic on it. So with this, it just has the plasticky sort of fabric for the lenses, and it looks good even when you paint it lightly, but the only problem is that it looks really, really, really subtle to look through. Whereas with this, you don't paint the fabric, you just paint the interior of the plastic so that it makes the inside darker, but not too dark. So once this is actually done drying, I'm actually going to post the full costume look on YouTube. I'll also do it on my second channel so that people can have a look at it. But yeah, this is the full Spider-Man costume. I would say this is inspired by a lot of different Spider-Man costumes. The front logo, purely my own design. I adjusted it partially, like I said. The web lines are very, very thin and a little faint, and that's with good reason, because I didn't want to utilize black Sharpie for the entirety of the costume. The back logo is a cartoon-based Sam Raimi Spider-Man logo from 2004. The lenses are inspired by the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man lenses, and the web line on the mask is inspired by the spectacular. I tried recreating these spectacular Spider-Man web lines like from the show. It of course doesn't really look like the actual web lines, but you know, I tried making it look good, but you know, I actually think it looks nice because it adds a bit of difference to the initial Spider-Man masks that we're used to nowadays, and I feel like it makes it unique in its own way. But other than that, the only other thing that I feel like it reminds me of, put this over here on my chair. Hopefully it doesn't. Do it like that. The only other thing I feel like this reminds me of is the interpretation of Peter's Web, the Peter's Web Spider-Man suit. Which, if you don't know what Peter's Web series is, it's a fan-based Spider-Man fan film. Or it's a fan film based on Spider-Man, where Roger King actually made the costume using velvet blue and velvet red spandex, and he made it work. And I've seen another person actually recreate the entire Peter's Web or Roger King Spider-Man suit using the exact same method, except they utilized, they allowed for a seamstress to actually make it for them, or a company to make it for them. This, I actually sewed together myself, and I feel a lot like Roger King when he tried, if you were to try and make this Spider-Man costume, which I like a lot. And I truly love the velvet blue. It makes the suit look almost like a cartoon in reality, especially with the puff painted spider logo on the front and on the back. So I truly love the way that I did this costume. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and in the comments down below, let me know what costume do you think was the best out of all my collection of Spider-Man costumes. Is it the first one, or would you say this is more of an upgrade from my initial techniques on Spider-Man costumes? Because I have to say, this took quite a bit of time to get the fabrics and to also try and get the design to look right all together. And I have to say, this suit really does fit my personal look on Spider-Man as a whole. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.